So if you've ever wondered if you should put the shiny side or the dull side in on your food when you're cooking it, this video is for you. We're going to go over a few different methods to be able to prove whether or not it matters. So recently I saw Harry Sue, T. Roy Cooks, and in the book A Meat Smoking Manifesto by Aaron Franklin, they all said that you should put the shiny side in when you're cooking food. The idea was it would cook faster. So to start this experiment, I wanted to find out whether people thought that you should put the shiny side in or the shiny side out, or whether or not it mattered. So I asked on a Facebook group, and I got just about 100 responses, and the same number of people said that it should be shiny side in and shiny side out, which statistically means y'all are guessing. A few more people said it didn't matter, and one person reminded me about one important thing. Aliens. I mean, you can never be too careful when it comes to your brainwaves. You don't want them picking up on that. So with that, I designed two different experiments to be able to prove whether or not it was worth your time to put the shiny side or dull side out.
So here's the experiment that I came up with to test whether or not it mattered if you put the shiny side in or the shiny side out. I took 2 sets of potatoes and I weighed each one. I matched them up so that way the weights were the same, so it wouldn't be a variable in the test. Then I took half of them and I wrapped them with the shiny side facing out. And the other half I wrapped with the shiny side facing in. This would allow us to be able to test the 2 different groups and any differences between them. Of course, I had to mark each one just to make sure that I could keep them straight as I recorded the temperatures. Then I cooked the potatoes 3 different ways to determine if the cooking method made any difference either. The first one was the convection oven because it would have the most even heat. Then I went outside to the gas grill and cooked indirect. And finally, I put it on the trusty charcoal grill, and I made sure that I rotated it every 15 minutes so that way the heat would be even. Finally, I set a timer for 15 minutes and I checked the temperature every 15 and recorded it to keep track.
So you're probably wondering what the results are. The gas grill, it came within 2 degrees throughout the entire process, and at one point, the shiny side had swapped with the dull side to be hotter or colder, and so that one showed they were both essentially the same. Now with the other 2 steps, we got some results, but we got opposite results. In the convection oven, we had it work the way you'd expect it with the shiny side in, cooking faster, but on the charcoal grill, the shiny side out cooked faster. In both of those cases, if we removed the one potato that cooked the fastest, they ended up being essentially the same. So essentially there was one potato that was an outlier that cooked faster than the rest, whether or not it cooked with the shiny side in or out in those cases. If you want to see the exact results, I'm going to flash the graphs up on the screen. You can always rewind and take a closer look at them later if you'd like. So what do these results mean? When you have 1 that showed it was the exact same and 2 that were the opposite of each other, it shows that in the end it really doesn't matter if you put the shiny side in or out, because the biggest variable is going to be your food. Now, that may make a difference for some people in some very small cases, so I don't fault anybody that does it one way or the other, because in the end, I don't think it really matters. Now, don't run away just yet, because I have one more test that I want to show you for some people that might have some concerns with the first one. So as I've made this video, I've had to sit back and think a little bit about some of the counter arguments that people would make about my methods. And one of them is that the potatoes could be one of the factors affecting whether or not the shiny side or the dull side makes them cook faster. They could have a little bit different makeup, the sizes could be different, the shapes could be different, and each of those could contribute to how they cook. And to that, I'd argue that also pork butts, briskets, anything else that you're going to throw on the grill are never going to be exactly the same, and so it actually is a pretty good test. But just in case that wasn't good enough, we're also going to do one more test. We want to go and find out whether or not it has any effect in a little bit more controlled environment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 mason jars, and they're going to be the exact same. 2 of them are going to have the shiny side out, 2 of them are going to have the shiny side in. I'm going to measure the temperature inside of it over a period of time to see if there's any difference between the 2.
The reason why this test worked is because both sets of bottles received the same amount of heat energy from the sun, allowing us to observe which one would absorb the most, whether it was the shiny or the dull side. Now, we let this settle for about an hour, and then we observed the temperatures at the end. So which one do you think was the shiny and the dull side? You might be surprised to see that the difference in temperature was only a half a degree between the 2 sides. The biggest difference was the length of the probe, which affected it by a couple of degrees based on the location inside of the jar that it was measuring.
So in summary, the only reason to wrap your meat with the shiny side in is if your meat is narcissistic and it likes to look at itself.